Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to get into the Scott short questions, farm claims against the government. Well, hey guys, how you doing? So I want to start with a couple things here. I'm going to bring something up on the screen and show you this. This is the YouTube channel. If you can like and subscribe, it really makes a difference. But one of the things that I'm going to tell you about is I'm going to show you an email address. Okay, docjasper@protonmail.com. And so you guys can email me questions, kind of say what's happening out there. This is actually my site with this stuff too, just things that I'll do here. So I will show you like some of them are in particular uh, playlists in there. Okay, so you can kind of see them in the playlists of what happens out there. And these are just the videos that are out there that this is how I look at stuff with that too. And, I'm looking at different things just like you're looking at different things in different ways. Okay, so if you like that kind of thing, and we'll pull that back here because we don't want to talk about that yet. But if you need to ask a question, go ahead and look at that one. I just don't do anything else with this email address other than really answering questions with that stuff too. Okay. Now, the big question that happens today is this: farm claims. Any news on them? I've read that they will get paid. Well, the answer is yes, but what the heck? I mean, why farm claims and not why rancher claims or steel worker claims kind of thing? The reality that happened with NESARA is that it starts with the conversation from farmers who had their land stolen from them from the Farm Bureau. So let's just say Scott, and I have a son named Scott Jr., which I wouldn't do, but whatever. It comes from that same basic point, right? And so let's say I'm having troubles with my farm. And so the Farm Bureau through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and a little into 80s, what happened is they would come in and go, okay, Scott, we're going to make a better loan for you. We're going to fund your farm. And then they didn't even tell you about the proviso at the end of this. Okay. And the proviso is when you die, the farm goes to the government. So Scott Jr. comes in and goes, "Hey man, and the dad had no idea. I'm the dad. I don't have a clue what's happening." And so then these people were walking and going, "Wait a second, you just stole my dad's farm on a little tiny proviso written into this?" And as an audiologist, I was working with a type of loan that you wouldn't normally see. Okay, and I remember having this conversation. The guy, his name is Scott too. He's a lawyer. Actually got fired later on for other bad things that he was doing. And Scott's talking to Scott, and we had this other group that was helping me out with this conversation. And when they were putting in a default case, because that's what I just told you is about. What they were doing, this company decided to pull an old default from the previous loan I'm coming out of, and they wanted to put the default terms into the new loan. And the answer is when I write a loan, if I'm part of writing a loan, there's default terms, there are payment terms, there are all these other terms that you have to discuss. You're like, who are you talking about here? And but you can never go back to an old system. And it basically said, we're going to use those terms, which are incredibly restrictive. And my response to them was, we're not in the United States of Iraq. It was just my little wording statement out the time frame. And this is the kind of thing the governments love doing, okay? And they like to mess with people. And what they were doing is they were getting butts kicked left and right, because when they would take these people to court, they found out that they were violating contract law and doing illegal things inside of those laws too. That's the basis of NESARA. NESARA is about making the government file or work within the constitutional frameworks. You know, and I hear this all the time. Well, isn't NESARA about pay me back? No, no, no. It's not about paying you back. It's about working the government within the frameworks of what they were supposed to do, which is called the Constitution. It's an overriding document that sits on top of them and should be pressing on their head anytime they do something stupid, right? Which, by the way, is every time they turn around. And that's even in the better presidents that you liked over in the past versus the worst ones, little fake Joe over there, right? So what happens in this is that it brings in constitutional law. When we start bringing in constitutional law, and we also bring in contractual law, which are between two parties, I mean, there's a violation that goes all the way through this. And that when you bring in constitutional law, you talk about, you know, how debts are collected and how you shouldn't be having debts upon your head. 14th Amendment under the third section that stipulates if you have you have debts by foreign invaders, people who are trying to create insurrection in your government, insurrection, and are against you in that way, you don't owe those debts. Like, it's a pretty cool conversation. I have no idea why they were talking about this at this time frame. This would be 1868. This is before the corporation occurred. Now, this would be in, I think, Grant's term. I hope I say that right. Just after Lincoln is gone, right? And you go, wait a second. What were they thinking at the time frame? Now, most people can't tell you that, but this is something that we can utilize against them. That's the basis of this, and that's why she's talking about the farmers. Let me show you a couple of the bills that they were talking about here. You know, so this Mike Boast dude was talking about a farm bill that was coming in. And it's because one of the things that's happened to farmers, I mean, we've talked about this, like Bill Gates is out there buying up all the land. The government has all these other land issues that you can't even go on, and you wonder what is actually going on. I mean, when I was growing up in Colorado, we used to go to the mountains all the time. And then over the years, you'd see less and less. I mean, you couldn't get through there without a permit. And I'm going, wait, being on public land, you know, it's my land in essence. I mean, and even if you got a permit, you had to be in their particular time frames, and they could just decide not to give it to you. On and on and on. This is the kind of stuff that has to be fixed with that too. And that's the basis of this. Now, what was that particular conversation? This actually was in August of 2024. Farmers are going to be paid out by the USDA discrimination to receive historic $2 billion payment. This kind of went underneath most of the censors. I'm going to show you what I mean by censors here, because it was talking about the National Black Farmers Association. We can't press down on the black farmers, because if we did, that would offend our Google censors here, right? And so a massive obviously Inflation Reduction Act is fake, but this is to give out to 4,300 or 43,000 individuals up to $500,000, right? This is a signal toward NESARA, but isn't the exact one. Now I'm going to show you something funny. This just came up, and I save things in folders like this, okay? I save things like crazy. This was actually something I had in my folder. It was a big thing. This has happened to me over and over and over again. If I went through all of the different points in publishing, when I do publishing, I have a whole folder set up, right? And I mean, I have lost websites over and over again. The spots on a website that they're gone. And you might say, oh, it's on another area. No, that particular article is missing. This is what they do to try to mess with you. Okay, so what about farm claims? Well, there is a point, and it's a pre-existing point that is a conversation that in the NESARA documentation that stipulates we need to pay the farmers back. And some people have taken that upon themselves. Well, and what it says is they're going to be paid back $100,000 a month for 11 years. And so other people grabbed onto it, like in a UBI claim, everyone's going to be paid back $100,000 a month for 11 years. That's not what it said. And are you talking about every single farmer's getting? I don't know what that exact point is in there. Okay. The reality that we find out is that this is actually a pre-existing condition before NESARA comes on. Okay, this would be at the time frame of it's called the Goldback Treaty. That when we go into a Goldback, you have to pay the farmers back. And there are some other ones. There are some other claim points, and we call them the groups that will be paid. Some of these groups that are paid. And that's just a different way of looking at that. But those farmer kind of things, I see those particular websites. I'm pointing over to my left. Those websites is just a precursor of that. And it was so funny because the black one, the Black Farmers Association, right? National Black Farmers Association, which I didn't know existed. I mean, just didn't have a clue about that one. Keeps those things on the website because they're black, and I just love it that Google can't reduce those, right? So the reality is, these farm claims are going to get paid. They will have a payment point. It happens right around when we change over into a gold-backed currency. Okay, that's why a couple of things that happen. Gold-backed currency deletes the Fed. Gold-backed currency then changes the process of this. It gets us into the quantum financial system, which is a distributed ledger blockchain. You cannot screw with this thing, okay? And it's not a mark of the beast or anything, silly like that. But it's a system done by the government, by specifically the Treasury Department. And that's why we have to have term limits and we have to have all these other things to regulate the idiots so that only real people go who have a passion to accomplish that. And so that is the cool stuff. It's coming. You just got to hold on, guys. I promise you it's going to be okay. We're going to get there. Hey, listen, guys, if you do me a favor and go on and like and subscribe here, this would make a big difference. You can kind of, go over to drscottyoung.com, but like and subscribe makes a big difference for me. It helps me out in many, many ways. Thanks so much.